This is Hokies All Access, produced by your official local television home of the Virginia Tech Hokies, in association with Virginia Tech Sports Properties. Hokies All Access.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Jermaine Ferrell. Hoping your day is wonderful and blessed like butter. Let's go on a roll, baby, with a little thing we like to call Hokies All Access. Now, in our opening drive segment of Hokies All Access with first quarter action, the Virginia Tech men's basketball team was picked as the number 10 seed in the NCAA Tournament South Region, and they battled the number 7 seed Florida on Friday. Now, the entire NCAA men's basketball tournament will be held in Indianapolis, Indiana area. The Hokies are making their 12th NCAA tournament appearance and their 4th straight. This is Virginia Tech's first tournament berth under second-year head coach Mike Young. In Virginia Tech, they hold an 8-11 record in the NCAA tournament. We caught up with head coach Mike Young and junior forward Justin Mutz before they tip off NCAA play.
I've never altered one thing in my approach with our team. Anything. They know where we are. I mean, they're smart people and they understand what's at stake. So I'm not going to add any unnecessary pressure to them, for goodness sakes. Let's go play. Let's have a great time. We're playing in the best tournament of them all. Lay your ears back and let it rip.
I mean, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. But I feel as though this was all part of the plan. We had a really good season. I trusted Coach Young when I committed here. I trusted all the coaches when I committed here. This is not something that was unpredicted to us. Now, if you were to read any of the preseason rankings or anything, everybody had us ranked, really low. But everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I guess it's up to us to continue to prove that the doubt is wrong.
Meanwhile, on to the women's basketball program led by head coach Kenny Brooks. Virginia Tech is in the big tournament as they're making their first appearance since 2006. This is also Virginia Tech's 10th NCAA tournament bid. The NCAA women's basketball tournament will be held in San Antonio, Texas area. The Hokies earned the number 7 seed in the Riverwalk region, and they open up against number 10 Marquette at noon on Sunday on ESPNU. Brooks talks about this special moment for his program.
First and foremost, I'm extremely happy for this particular group, but also for the program. It's been 5 years in the making for me in this era where we've been trying to get Virginia Tech women's basketball back to respectability, back to the glory days, back to where they belong. And it didn't come easy. It didn't come easy. A lot of blood, a lot of sweat, a lot of tears, a lot of trials, tribulations. But to actually hear your name being called last night, something that we weren't able to do last year, which was a big void in our program. But to hear our name called, so many emotions went through my body. I don't know if it was because we were like in the last bracket and that built up a lot of anxiety. But needless to say, a lot of emotions came through, and just so happy, and not only happy for this particular group, but for kids like Sammy Hill and Vanessa Panousis, kids like Taj Cole, Lydia Rivers, Kendall Brooks, people who have really sacrificed a lot for this program to try to get us back to those glory days, or just belonging in a field of 64.
All right, folks, it is the madness of March, full booth style. And, of course, we're talking full booth. We got to have the dynamic duo, the voice of the Hokies, John Laser, and, of course, Mr. Mike Burnup, Hall of Famer for Virginia Tech. And how you guys doing today?
Doing great, Big Daddy.
Yeah, always good. It's a great time of year, isn't it, Big Daddy?
Good deal. Now, in full disclosure, we were recording this before both the Virginia Tech men's and women's basketball teams are heading to Indianapolis and San Antonio, respectively, compete in March Madness, or the Madness of March, the big tournament, as they say. First time ever that both the Virginia Tech men's and women's basketball programs have made it to the NCAA tournament in the same year. And, guys, such big news for the Hokies.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And first, let's start on the women's side for Kenny Brooks and the program that he has been building now for a number of years in Blacksburg. It was so disappointing last year, and they did a good job of not getting down about it, but they would have snapped their tournament drought a year ago. There's no doubt about it. They were a lock tournament team, and unfortunately that tournament got canceled. So they lost some personnel. They added some personnel. They started 2-7 in conference play and fought through that and did some additions by subtraction on that roster and really started playing some great basketball. I think they can make some noise in San Antonio, honestly, coming out of that 7 slot. Now for Mike Young on the men's side, I remember sitting with Mike in Washington, D.C. after the Hokies had been nipped at the wire by Duke in the Sweet 16. That was the highest of highs going into that game in terms of the platform and the stage, but we knew Buzz Williams was leaving or was more than likely leaving, and you wondered how quickly you'd be back in that environment. To be back less than 2 calendar years later, I can't speak for Mike, but I know for me, it's so gratifying, particularly when you look at the coach and the person that Coach Young is, that he's already got it rolling in this direction.
Yeah, it is awesome, Big Daddy, when you think about both teams going for the first time in the program's history. I mean, that's really amazing. And for the women and Kenny Brooks, just a great job building that program. I know they were so disappointed last year, and some of those girls that aren't here this year that played for that team last year, I know that was a little bit of a driving force. Let's get to the tournament. Last year we deserved it. Didn't happen. And that was a little bit of a motivating factor. And then, you know, you got 2 first-team all-league players for the first time ever, too, for the women's team. That's just fantastic as well. So really happy for them. I know there were some anxious moments last night because it went down to the last, 4 teams before they got in. And I know they were probably sweating it a little bit, but it was great to see their name come up, get a good seed, favorable draw, and hopefully they can make some noise down in San Antonio. That'll be awesome. And, you know, Liz Kitley had such a great year, as did Shepard. I mean, they got a good team, and the future is so bright for them. And then for Coach Young, like Lace was talking about, man, playing Duke there, we were so close to winning that game. And here Coach Young comes in last year, they're a 500 team, and, you know, he just keeps working that roster, trying to get pieces put together. And Kevy Aluma was just solid all year long. You know, second-team All-ACC player, had a great year. And just look how good Mutsy came in. Old Justin Mutz comes in and plays well, and now they're back in the tournament. You know, again, it could be a favorable draw, SEC team in Florida. And it's really exciting to go to Hinkle Fieldhouse up there. That's going to be fun. So really looking forward to it.
Now, word on the street is you guys are, and obviously the basketball teams, both teams are headed there, actually there already at their respective sites. Obviously, you guys are going to Indy, but you guys are going to get behind the wheel and make that drive 7+ hours up to Indy. Do you guys, is this the longest road trip you guys have taken together in a car that I know of?
I think it equals the longest that we've taken. It's about the same distance to Atlanta. Mike and I drove there one time, but we've driven certainly this long, maybe over the course of a day or two. But like Mike said, with all the exciting things that are waiting for you on the other end, it's a trade-off that we're willing to make. We always love traveling with the team. We haven't been able to do that at all this year due to COVID. But at the same time, they went Monday morning and don't play until Friday morning. And I've been going back and forth with some of them. They're losing their minds. I talked to Coach this morning, and he's on the brink of insanity in there. So as we've said all year long, Big Daddy, the bubble for Mike and I, whether that's Mike's vehicle or mine or wherever we get to, is always a heck of a lot more fun than the actual bubble itself.
Yeah, I mean, flying these days is not a lot of fun, especially when you have to connect everywhere you go. And literally, you might be able to drive there faster than, you know, having layovers in airports, and you don't know when you can come back because you're not sure when you're going to leave. So it's almost just easier, and you have a little more flexibility driving. So, yeah, not a bad thing, especially when you got XM radio, Big Daddy.
That's true. Hey, it's the gift that keeps on giving right there, where you can get on there and you can listen. Actually, you know, you guys can listen to wherever you want. There's sports talk, there's music, there's all the good when it comes to that. Well, guess what? We're not done with you guys. We're going to have a second helping of Hokies All Access in full booth. We're going to talk about football, spring practice starting this week for the Virginia Tech football team. We'll have more on that in our next segment of Full Booth later on Hokies All Access. And coming up on Hokies All Access, we get a preview of the Virginia Tech Hokies footballers as they begin spring practice. Stick and stay, please.
Produced by your official local television home of the Hokies. This is Hokies All Access.
And welcome back to the Maroon and Orange Express, also known as Hokies All Access. Now in our Hokie highlights segment of Hokies All Access with second quarter action. This past week, the Virginia Tech Hokies kicked off spring football practices. Now, Tech will have 15 spring practices spread over the next 5 weeks. The Hokies didn't have spring or fall camp last year due to COVID-19. At Virginia Tech, they returned 11 offensive starters and 10 defensive starters. And Coach Justin Fuente enters his 6th season at Tech and has often referred to spring football as, quote, the best time of the year because of the opportunity for coaches to teach and try to players in new situations, as he's eager for spring practice to begin.
We need these chances to improve and coach and experiment a little bit and really just get out on the field and practice. Last year was obviously missing spring ball and then fall camp being what it was. We just didn't have a lot of time to try and bring people along, young players or inexperienced players.
Definitely, I think most of it was a comfort level. Last year with COVID, we didn't really have spring ball, so I didn't really get reps then, and then fall camp was kind of cut short. So then I also got COVID during fall camp, so going to the NC State game, I really only had 2 real weeks of practice in a full year. And then after I kind of got hurt, broke my toes, kind of got a chance to kind of sit back and really dive into the offense and learn it with in and out. And then going into that Clemson and UVA game, I felt really comfortable, so I think it showed.
We really didn't get it off season last year, so it was more like halfway through the season was really when it started making sense to everybody and started like cleaning up things. So it was weird last year, but now finally, it's cleaned up now just for going into spring ball. It looks a lot better. It's a lot simpler. Things make sense, and everything is just really cleaned up. And that's really what's really what we want to get to. Get a simple defense. We go out there and play fast.
And coming up on Hokies All Access, David DeGuzman shares a story on Hokie hoops making history and the men leading the programs. This is Hokies All Access.
Produced by your official local television home of the Hokies. This is Hokies All Access.
And welcome back to Hokies All Access with third quarter action. You know, the Virginia Tech men's basketball team, they will be making their 12th NCAA tournament appearance, while the Tech women, they earned a spot on the big stage for the 10th time in school history. But this will be the first time both programs punched their tickets in the same season. David DeGuzman explains what this means in this achievement for both head coaches in this week's Coach's Corner.
I thought about it at some point. Did I read this morning it's the first time that Virginia Tech has had both the men's and women's team in the NCAA tournament?
Even head coach Mike Young didn't know that it's never happened before. 2 joyous reactions, 25 hours apart, as Virginia Tech heard its name called for both men's and women's NCAA tournaments.
That's all. I mean, that's great. That's great for Virginia Tech and Southwest Virginia. And I'm as happy for Kenny and his team as I am my team.
It gives you a welcoming feeling. It really unites the programs, and to the point where it really truly is Virginia Tech basketball. You know, it's not men's basketball, it's not women's basketball, it's Virginia Tech basketball.
The 2 head coaches are also close friends and are now celebrating each other's accomplishments.
He's been great for me, a great resource, a man that I admire. And
just having somebody in the same building who pretty much shares the same problems, the same joys that I have, and being able to just bounce stuff off of each other, you know, it's kind of like, it's like therapy.
Kenny Brooks first met Young when the former Emory and Henry assistant was recruiting Brooks in high school. Now, as leaders of their respective programs, they'll be cheering each other on in the big dance.
I love his kids. He's got great young people in his program that work really hard. And
I watch every one of their games, and I watch it with passion. And, you know, I hang on every pass, every turnover, just like a fan.
And coming up on Hokies All Access, we have another round of Full Booth with John and Mike. We're talking Hokies spring football practice. This is Hokies All Access. All right, good peeps, welcome to Hokies All Access. We're back with the show and with round 2 of Full Booth. And again, rejoining me, the voice of the Hokies, John Laser, and Virginia Tech Hall of Famer Mike Burnup. And guess what? It just seems like we just finished football season. Now we're back talking about it again. Spring football starting this week for the Virginia Tech Hokies. They get to hit the gridiron. They'll have 15 spring practices. And guys, obviously, Virginia Tech didn't have a spring practice. Fall camp was kind of jumbled a little bit. But how big and important is it to have spring football as the Virginia Tech Hokies get ready for the season of fall 2021?
Well, I'll tell you, Jermaine, it's been interesting because during football season, Mike and I were banished from the football building. We spent a lot more time with the basketball team, and now during basketball season, we've been banished from the basketball facility. So I've been spending a lot more time with the football guys, including today as they got spring football rolling. And it's vitally important, to your point, in terms of still trying to install Justin Hamilton's defense. Of course, you're going to have some personnel that wasn't there last year that's back. You're going to have some personnel that was there last year that won't be here this year. But more than anything, the vibe that I get from going into spring football is this is a ticked off and determined group, because I think they look back on all that transpired during the COVID ravaged season and how badly it afflicted them, particularly in the first half of the year. And they feel like they were discounted because of some of those things that were out of their control. Justin Fuente has told me this is the most talented roster, including last year, that he's had at this stage of the year. He never is optimistic like that when I talk to him about the roster at this stage. Of course, a lot of things are going to need to break right for you in terms of position where you don't have a ton of depth. But as Mike will speak to, this is a team that has a chance. And when you have a chance and you go into spring football and you can utilize some of those things that you didn't in the past, we're back to being optimistic. We're back to being very excited about football. I always have to temper a little bit this time of the year because you get all cranked up emotionally and then you realize at the end of it, you don't play for about 5 months.
Yeah, I mean, not having spring practice last year was just devastating. When you think about all the changes that took place, I mean, Bud Foster's retiring, Justin Hamilton's coming in. He's got new coaches, and you can't get on the field. You can't talk terminology and scheme things and experiment with players in different positions. I mean, it was tough, especially when you come to fall practice and you still got issues, and Justin Hamilton can't even go to the first game or two. I mean, it was crazy what they had to deal with. So, yeah, this is going to be very, very important. Huge year for Virginia Tech coming up. Obviously, for a lot of reasons. And so, yeah, now you can work guys at different positions. You can experiment a little bit. You can play guys at different spots. You don't have to worry about game planning and having a game in 2 or 3 days and trying to squeeze everything in and, 2 or 3 practices on Tuesday or Wednesday and have a little bit of hitting. You can do a lot of things. They're spread out. You're in a routine. And it's just so important to develop some of that depth and whatnot, and get guys have a pecking order, so to speak. And there's some spots here that are going to have great competition. You think about how many running backs are in that room. You think about the need for offensive linemen and defensive linemen. Some of these younger guys are going to have to step up. Who's going to be the next Christian Darrisaw? Who's going to be the best backup quarterback? Is Braxton Burmeister going to stay healthy? You got a lot of receivers. Who's going to be in the pecking order for that? So it's very important. This is how you develop depth. This is when you come out of spring. You got a starting point in the fall. And so a lot happens, especially after the winter workouts, when guys have gotten themselves bigger, faster, and stronger.
And the interesting thing is when you look back at last season, guys, I mean, you at least you got the experience. I know it wasn't the perfect scenario, but when you look back at the season, guys, I mean, there were games they could have easily won. I mean, it was a 5-6 season, but overall, I think Virginia Tech, they have a lot to build on, and it's going to be a fun year, and it's always fun being with you guys. So I'm excited about talking more Hokies All Access and Friday and full booth and football and all that. It's just neat to talk about football. So guys, I'm saying this again before you guys head to Indy. Be safe up there. Enjoy the fun. Enjoy Indianapolis. You guys will love it. It's a great city. And thanks for being on Full Booth, guys.
You got it, Jermaine. Team Vaccine making their way to Indy. Ready to
That's
work.
right. We're looking forward to some new restaurants in a new city. See how much damage we can do up there, my man.
There you go. Just put it on the company credit card, as they say.
We always do.
As soon as you give it to us, we'll do that.
All right, good peeks to see all things Hokies, including previous episodes of Hokies All Access. We have it all for you on HokiesAllAccess.com. Couple other quick notes. Congratulations to Asia Shepard. She was named the Associated Press Honorable Mention on the women's basketball team. Also, good luck to the Virginia Tech wrestling teams. They'll be competing for national championships. Well, good peeps, that does it for this edition of Hokies All Access. I'm Jermaine Ferrell. Have a wonderful and blessed day, everyone, and go Hokies!